Biological psychologist. A branch of psychology concerned with the links between biology and behavior. Neuron. A nerve cell, the basic building block of the nervous system. Sensory neurons. Neurons that carry incoming information from the sensory receptors to the brain and spinal cord. Motor neurons. Neurons that carry outgoing information from the brain and spinal cord to the muscles and glands. Interneurons. Neurons within the brain and spinal cord that communicate internally and intervene between the sensory inputs and motor outputs. Dendrite. The bushy, branching extensions of a neuron that receives messages and conduct impulses toward the cell body. Axon. The extension of a neuron ending in branching terminal fibers through which messages pass to other neurons or to muscles or glands. Myelin sheath. A layer of fatty tissue segmentally encasing the fibers of many neurons enables vastly greater transmission speed of neural impulses as the impulse hops from one node to the next. Action potential. A neural impulse, a brief electrical charge that travels down an axon. Threshold. The level of stimulation required to trigger a neural impulse. Synapse. The junction between the axon tip of the sending neuron and the dendrite or cell body of the receiving neuron. The tiny gap at this junction is called the synaptic gap or synaptic. Neurotransmitters. Chemical messengers that cross the synaptic gaps between neurons. When released by the sending neuron, they travel across the synapse and bind to receptor sites on the receiving neuron, thereby influencing whether that neuron will generate a neural impulse. Reuptake. A neurotransmitter's reabsorption by the sending neuron. Endorphins. Morphine within natural, opiate-like neurotransmitters linked to pain control and to pleasure. Nervous system. The body's electrochemical communication network consisting of all nerve cells of the peripheral and central nervous system. Central nervous system. The brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system. The sensory and motor neurons that connect the CNS to the rest of the body. Nerves. Bundled axons that form neural cables connecting the CNS with muscles, glands, and sense organs. Somatic nervous system. The division of the PNS that controls the body's skeletal muscles, also called the skeletal nervous system. Autonomic nervous system. The part of the PNS that controls the glands and the muscles of the internal organs. Its sympathetic division arouses, its parasympathetic division calms. Sympathetic nervous system. The division of the autonomic nervous system that arouses the body, mobilizing its energy in stressful situations. Parasympathetic nervous system. The division of the autonomic nervous system that calms the body, conserving its energy. Reflex. A simple autonomic response to a sensory stimulus, such as the knee-jerk response. Endocrine system. The body's slow chemical communication system, a set of glands that secrete hormones into the bloodstream. Hormones. Chemical messengers that are manufactured by the endocrine glands travel through the bloodstream and affect other tissues. Adrenal glands. A pair of endocrine glands that sit just above the kidneys and secrete hormones that help arouse the body in times of stress. Pituitary gland. The endocrine system's most influential gland. Under the influence of the hypothalamus, it regulates growth and controls other endocrine glands. Computed-tomography scan. A series of X-ray photographs taken from different angles by computer into a composite representation of slides through the body, also called CAT scan. Positron emission tomography scan. a visual display of brain activity that detects where a radioactive form of glucose goes while the brain performs a given task. Magnetic response imaging scan. A technique that uses magnetic fields and radio waves to produce computer-generated images of soft tissue. MRI scans show brain. Functional MRI. A technique for revealing blood flow and, therefore, brain activity by comparing successive MRI scans. fMRI scan shows brain function. Brainstem. The oldest part and central core of the brain, beginning where the spinal cord swells as it enters the skull. The brainstem is responsible for autonomic survival functions. Medulla. The base of the brainstem controls heartbeat and breathing. Reticular formation. A nerve network in the brainstem that plays an important role in controlling arousal. Thalamus. The brain's sensory switchboard, located on top of the brainstem, it directs messages to the sensory receiving areas in the cortex and transmits replies to the cerebellum and medulla. Cerebellum. The little brain at the rear of the brainstem. Functions include processing sensory input and coordinating movement output and balance.